Welcome to the deep dive. When you look around these days, it often feels like we're navigating, well, just a constant stream of challenges, right?
Mm-hmm. It really does.
From the big global stuff like natural disasters or conflict, down to the really personal things we all deal with, loss, setbacks at work, even just the intense daily grind.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really makes you stop and think. With all this negativity swirling around, what actually helps us? Not just cope, but genuinely find happiness, to thrive.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's exactly what we're diving into today. For a long time, psychology mostly looked at what goes wrong.
Right. The problems.
Yeah, the disorders, the anxieties, what brings us down. But there's this powerful newer science emerging that kind of flips that script.
Exactly. And that's what this deep dive is all about. We're looking at understanding, measuring, and actively promoting the positive side of human experience.
Things like optimism, real happiness, personal growth.
Yeah, that's it. Our mission today is basically to take the sources you've shared, pull out the key insights, and give you, our listener, a shortcut to understanding this really vital field.
We'll touch on, why some people do selfless things with no obvious payoff, and maybe why psychology got stuck on the negative for so long.
And then really unpack the shift. Positive psychology represents this focus on virtues, strengths, and ultimately leading a life with meaning.
So let's kick things off right there, this positive shift.
Yeah.
What exactly is positive psychology? How's it different?
At its absolute core, it's often defined as the scientific study of what makes life truly worth living.
Worth living. Okay.
Yeah, it's scientific. It looks at thoughts, feelings, behavior, but through a very specific lens, building up personal strengths, positive qualities.
And it really got its formal start, or at least prominence, with Martin Seligman, right, back in '98.
That's right. He brought it to the forefront at the American Psychological Association conference. The idea was, let's study joy, courage, happiness, not just stress, anxiety, and disorders.
And he had a broader view, too, didn't he? Something about multiple levels.
He did. He expanded it, defining it as the scientific study of positive human functioning and flourishing on multiple levels.
Okay.
That include the biological, personal, relational, institutional, cultural, and global dimensions of life. So it's big picture.
Wow. So if you boil it down,
It's pretty much the science of happiness, human strength, and growth across, everything, not just fixing what's broken.
that sounds incredibly needed, especially now. But why now? In a world that often feels, heavy with bad news, why does this feel so relevant today?
That's a great point, and it taps into a sort of human bias, actually. Research shows that negative things often grab our attention more strongly.
The negativity bias.
Yeah, like you might notice someone's anger instantly, but maybe overlook their intelligence, or how one negative comment can just wipe out loads of kind acts.
Right, or one bad trait defines someone.
Exactly. That bias is real. Positive psychology helps us first just become aware of that. But crucially, it suggests we can tackle psychological problems by building up the positive.
So it's not just about fixing deficits, it's about actively building capacity.
You got it. Building capacity. And that leads us nicely into this core idea, life above zero. What does that mean, zero?
Okay, imagine like a number line or a spectrum. 0 is that middle point, the line between illness and health, or unhappiness and happiness.
Neutral ground.
Kinda, yeah. Traditional psychology often focused at and below 0, analyzing illness, pain, stress, dysfunction, trying to get people just up to that 0 point.
It goes back to baseline.
Exactly. But positive psychology's main goal is to take us above 0, to actively cultivate things like happiness, optimism, hope, trust,
Character strengths, empathy.
mindfulness, resilience, all that good stuff that makes life feel truly fulfilling.
So how do we actually do that? How do we get above zero? This brings us to Barbara Fredrickson's theory, right? The broaden and build one.
Yes. That's a really key theory for understanding the how. It's a fascinating idea. Basically, positive emotions don't just feel good in the moment.
Okay.
They actually expand our thinking and our potential actions. It's like a ripple effect.
Expand how?
Well, take that example of Tushar in the canteen. He's feeling great because his teacher praised him. He goes to eat, doesn't see his usual friends.
Right.
Instead of just eating alone, which he might normally do, his good mood makes him think, hey, I'll introduce myself to that classmate. He asks to sit with them. His happiness literally broadened his behavioral options.
Oh, I see. So the positive feeling opened up possibilities he might not have considered otherwise.
Exactly. When we feel good, happy, interested, content, our minds are more open, more creative. We see more opportunities.
And that leads to different actions, like Tushar being more social.
Precisely. And here's the build part. When we consistently act on these broadened thoughts like socializing, exploring, learning, we actually build lasting resources.
Resources like,
Social connections, coping skills, knowledge, even physical health. It creates this upward spiral. Positive emotions broaden our mindset, which helps us build resources, which in turn helps us experience more positive emotions.
a positive feedback loop.
I got it. It strengthens our overall well-being and helps us lead a more fulfilling life. It's a powerful, compounding cycle.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And when we talk positive emotions, the big one, the one everyone chases, is happiness.
Right.
We all feel lots of emotions, but we definitely prefer the positive ones. But defining happiness, it feels simple, but it's actually quite tricky, isn't it?
It really is. Because at its heart, happiness is a positive emotional state that is subjective for each person. It's personal.
Like what makes me happy might be totally different for you.
Exactly. Maybe you love a quiet night in, I might love a big party. Neither is wrong. It's just subjective. The sources mention sort of three main angles on it.
Okay, what are they?
First, there are need or goal satisfaction theories. Basically, happiness comes from getting what you want or need. Like, you're starving, you get your favorite food, boom, happiness.
Makes sense.
Then there are process or activity theories. These suggest happiness comes from actually doing things you enjoy, like a singer who just loves the act of singing itself.
The journey, not just the destination.
Kinda, yeah. And finally, there are genetic or personality theories, which suggest that our baseline happiness level is partly influenced by our genes and our underlying personality traits.
So a mix of factors. Now, we often think things like, getting that promotion, buying a bigger house, being perfectly healthy, that's the key to happiness.
You're right, the external stuff.
But what does the research actually show? Do those things deliver the lasting happiness we expect?
This is where it gets really interesting, and honestly, a bit counterintuitive for a lot of people. The research consistently shows that factors like perfect health or more income or prestige, they only add a small amount to our overall long-term happiness.
Really? Just a small amount.
Yeah. They might give you a temporary boost, sure, but they aren't the main ingredients for deep, lasting contentment. They fade.
Okay, so if it's not primarily about money or health or status, what are the better predictors? Where should we focus if we want that sustained happiness?
The things that have a much bigger impact, the better predictors, tend to be more internal and relational.
Like what?
Things like having strong, intimate social relationships, real connections, support systems, that's huge. Also, optimism, which we'll definitely unpack more soon because it buffers against negative feelings.
Okay.
Then there's self-esteem, feeling good about yourself, having confidence that helps you tackle challenges constructively, and achieving challenging goals.
Challenging, but not too challenging.
Exactly. Not so easy you get bored, not so hard you get frustrated. Finding that sweet spot. And maybe most fundamentally perceiving meaning in life.
Meaning, purpose.
Yeah. Having a sense of purpose combats those feelings of boredom, frustration, loneliness. It gives life direction. And ultimately, it comes down to perspective.
How you look at things. Seeing challenges as chances to grow, not just setbacks. Your outlook, how you interpret the world, is often way more important for your happiness than your objective circumstances.
That's powerful. Your perspective shaping your reality. And speaking of perspective, you mentioned optimism. It feels impossible to talk about lasting happiness without digging into that.
Absolutely. They're tightly linked.
So let's shift there. What is optimism, really, beyond just, being cheerful?
Right. It's more specific than just general positivity. Optimism is defined as a kind of mental attitude. It includes hopefulness, yes, and a belief that the future will generally be positive and desirable.
Okay.
But it's also about how you frame negative events. Seeing them as temporary setbacks you can overcome. It has two parts. The feeling part, hopeful, confident, and a distinct thinking part.
Ah, the thinking part.
Oh.
How does an optimist think differently when facing problems?
That's key. Optimists have a specific way they interpret setbacks. When something bad happens, they tend not to see it as stable or permanent.
So temporary. Yeah, like Mahesh in the example who lost his job, he believes he won't be unemployed forever. It's a temporary state.
Yeah.
They also don't see it as global or pervasive.
Meaning
Meaning it doesn't bleed into everything. Like Mira failing one exam doesn't mean her whole life is a failure. It's specific to that one event.
Got it. Temporary, specific. What's the third?
Not internal, or at least not solely internal. They don't automatically blame themselves entirely, Mahesh might understand there were many factors in the layoff, not just his performance.
So temporary, specific, and external, or at least not entirely internal, that's the optimistic thinking style for bad events.
Exactly. That's the hallmark.
And that classic glass half full or half empty idea, that ties into this, right? From Seligman.
Yep, Martin Seligman, again, often called the father of optimism, especially for his work on learned optimism, he really highlighted how much our explanatory style, how we explain events to ourselves, shapes our outlook and our actions.
So let's draw a clear line then. Optimist versus pessimist. What are the big differences in how they approach life?
The contrast is pretty stark when you lay it out. An optimist tends to look for or expect the best outcome. A pessimist often anticipates the worst.
Confidence levels.
Generally, optimists have higher self-confidence, while pessimists often struggle with that. When challenges pop up, optimists tend to approach them positively, maybe even see an opportunity.
Whereas pessimists might.
Might see it as a threat, try to avoid it, or feel overwhelmed. For an optimist, difficulties can be a chance to learn and get stronger. For a pessimist, they might feel like a curse that just proves life is hard.
And their view of the future.
Optimists generally feel hopeful about the future. Pessimists often see it as kind of gloomy or uncertain.
Okay, that's a clear distinction. Now let's pivot to another crucial element of positive functioning. Empathy. That ability to connect. What does it really mean to be empathetic?
Empathy is basically the capacity to understand and feel what another person is experiencing from within their frame of reference. It's putting yourself in their shoes, really.
Feeling with them.
Exactly. And Simon Baron-Cohen breaks it down into 3 related parts, which is helpful. First, there's cognitive empathy. That's the knowing part.
Like understanding their perspective.
Yeah, knowing how they feel, what they might be thinking. Like a doctor, understand the symptoms and impact of an illness. It's perspective taking.
Okay, cognitive. What's next?
Emotional reactivity. This is the feeling part, where you actually feel the emotions the other person is feeling. It's that deep gut reaction. It can create really strong bonds.
So thinking and feeling. What's the third?
Social skills empathy. This is about the action or the appropriate response. It means you understand, you feel with them, and you're also moved to help in a constructive way. Using emotional intelligence to respond effectively, not getting overwhelmed yourself or trying to fix things irrationally.
So it's a package deal. Understanding, feeling, and responding appropriately. Why is this so important in our lives?
Oh, it's fundamental. Research links empathy directly to building trust, feeling safer in relationships, having more successful connections generally.
Makes sense.
It supports social activities, communication. Basically, empathy helps create those nurturing, supportive environments where people can be creative and feel secure.
And there's even some brain science behind it, right? Mirror neurons.
Yeah, it's fascinating. While the science is still unfolding, things like mirror neurons seem to play a role. They fire both when we do an action and when we see someone else do it, maybe helping us simulate their experience.
Yeah.
Other brain areas are involved too. It really shows how deeply wired we are for connection.
Okay, so if empathy is so vital, how can you listening actually cultivate more of it? Are there practical things to do?
Definitely. It's a skill you can strengthen. One straightforward way is just increasing your social interactions, especially with people whose experiences are different from yours or who might need support. It directly helps you see different perspectives.
Get outside your bubble.
Pretty much. Also, consciously try to connect through similarities. When you realize you share common ground with someone, maybe you face similar work challenges or come from a similar background, it builds that sense of shared humanity.
Finding common ground.
You often see this, like people who've overcome a specific struggle, helping others going through the same thing. They get it. And another key thing, pay attention to what you are feeling.
Self-awareness.
Yes. Understanding your own emotions is often the first step to understanding someone else's. People who are good at reading themselves tend to be better at reading others.
That makes total sense. What else? Any other tips?
Well, challenge yourself sometimes. Pushing through something genuinely difficult can foster humility. And humility really opens the door to empathy.
Humility. Okay.
And related to that, cultivate curiosity.
Yeah.
Try swapping judgment for genuine curiosity about why someone thinks or feels the way they do. Ask more questions. It opens you up.
Instead of judging, ask why.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And finally, consciously widen your circle. Interact with people who are different from you, different backgrounds, different experiences. Research even suggests this can increase empathy on a neurological level. It literally changes your brain.
Wow. Okay, powerful stuff. Let's shift gears now to mindfulness, living in the now. We've probably all had that experience, right? Sitting through a lecture and afterwards you barely remember what was said. Or driving somewhere familiar and suddenly you're there with no real memory of the trip.
Oh, definitely. Autopilot.
That's mindlessness, right? Your mind is off somewhere else, worrying, planning, daydreaming. So, what's the antidote? What is mindfulness?
Mindfulness is essentially a state of awareness. It's about mental alertness, the ability to be fully present,
Fully present.
aware of where you are, what you're actually doing, and this is important, not being overly reactive or overwhelmed by everything going on around you.
So not getting swept away by thoughts or distractions.
Exactly. It's obviously important in situations where mindlessness is dangerous, like driving, but it's valuable all the time. It's about focusing on the here and now.
Living in the present moment.
Being fully engaged with whatever you're doing rather than dwelling on the past or stressing about the future. Doing this increases self-regulation, self-control, and ultimately boosts growth and happiness.
And one common way to cultivate this is through mindfulness meditation, rooted in Buddhist philosophy.
That's right. Meditation is a key practice. The core idea behind it is that our minds are often just filled with this constant stream of unexamined thoughts and mental chatter.
The monkey mind.
Yeah, exactly. It consumes energy and pulls us away from the present. Our minds drift constantly. So the practice is usually pretty simple.
How does it work?
Typically, you sit comfortably, maybe close your eyes, and focus your attention on something consistent, usually your breath. Thoughts will inevitably come up.
That's the tricky part.
It is. But the instruction isn't to fight them or stop them. It's just to notice them without judgment, without getting tangled up in them, and then gently, kindly, bring your focus back to your breath over and over.
And doing that regularly helps.
Yes. The benefits are well documented.
Yeah.
Reduced anxiety, less stress, less frustration. It enhances overall mental well-being and happiness.
It sounds like a way to train your attention muscle. And does this connect to habits at all? Breaking bad ones?
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. Mindlessness often makes us slaves to unconscious habits. Mindlessly checking your phone, snacking when you're not hungry.
Guilty.
We all are. Mindfulness helps break those patterns because it makes you aware of the impulse before you act. You notice when and why you're reaching for the phone or the chips. That awareness gives you a crucial moment of choice. It brings the habit into the light so you can actually control it.
Interrupting the autopilot.
Exactly.
Okay, one last major area to cover. Resilience. That ability to bounce back.
So important.
Maybe take a second, listener, and think of someone you know who's faced something really tough, loss, illness, a major setback, and they managed to navigate it, maybe even grew from it. What is that quality?
That quality is resilience. It's often described as the act of bouncing back or resisting cracking under pressure. More formally, it's the process of adapting well in the face of adversity, trauma, tragedy, threats, or significant sources of stress.
Adapting well. Key phrase. And importantly, it's not some rare superpower. It's something many people demonstrate. And crucially, it involves behaviors, thoughts, and actions that could be learned and developed.
So how do people differ in their response to adversity?
Generally, you see a few patterns. Some people react with anger, maybe feel like victims. Others might kind of collapse under the weight of it all, get overwhelmed by negative emotions.
Which doesn't help recovery.
Right. But resilient individuals, they still feel the pain, the grief, the anxiety. They're not emotionless, but they find ways to face the difficulties head on. They work through those feelings in ways that foster strength and growth.
They don't pretend it's not hard, but they manage it constructively.
Exactly. They handle hardship in a way that allows them to recover, learn, and move forward, sometimes even stronger than before.
And this capacity is obviously vital for well-being. It helps us recover, keeps our confidence up. Anne Maston called it ordinary magic, right? Because it's common, learnable.
Yes, ordinary magic. She emphasizes that it's built on learnable behaviors and thoughts. And she outlines the 7 C's of resilience. These are really helpful building blocks.
Okay, let's go through them. What are the 7 C's?
First is competence. This is about knowing you can handle situations effectively. And it usually comes from having actual experience doing so.
Learning by doing.
Pretty much. Second is confidence, which stems from that competence. It's the strong belief in your own abilities because you've seen yourself succeed before.
Makes sense. Competence builds confidence.
Third is connection. Having strong ties to family, friends, community gives you a sense of security. Interestingly, the security actually allows you to be more independent and find creative solutions.
Support allows you to be brave.
Yeah. Fourth is character. Having a solid sense of right and wrong, integrity, knowing your values, a strong sense of self-worth.
Knowing who you are.
Fifth is contribution. Feeling like your life has purpose because you contribute to the well-being of others, even in small ways. It makes you feel valued and effective.
Giving back.
Sixth is coping. This is about developing positive strategies to manage stress effectively, rather than resorting to harmful ones.
Healthy coping mechanisms.
Exactly. And finally, seventh is control. This isn't about controlling everything, but realizing you can influence the outcomes of many situations through your decisions and actions. A sense of agency.
Feeling like you're not just helpless.
Right. That belief that you can impact your situation helps you bounce back. You think of athletes like Mary Kom, facing huge pressure and setbacks. She embodied so many of these C's.
Absolutely. And are there different types of resilience?
Yeah, we can break it down a bit. There's psychological resilience, mentally handling uncertainty, adapting, using coping strategies.
A mental game.
And emotional resilience, specifically coping with the emotional stress, understanding and managing your feelings during tough times.
Handling the emotions.
Physical resilience, the body's ability to adapt to challenges, maintain stamina, recover from illness or injury.
A body bouncing back.
And finally, community resilience. This is about groups, neighborhoods, towns, organizations being able to respond to and recover collectively from things like disasters or economic hardship.
The group bouncing back together.
Exactly. It's resilience on a larger scale.
Wow. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today in this deep dive into positive psychology. Really fascinating stuff.
It truly is.
We talked about moving your life above zero, how positive emotions broaden and build our personal resources. We unpacked what really drives happiness, not just the common myths.
The power of optimism, the vital role of empathy in connecting us.
Right, and mindfulness for staying present. And finally, resilience, that incredible capacity to bounce back. These aren't just, nice ideas.
Not at all. They're actionable principles, things you can actually cultivate to enhance your life.
So as a final thought for you, our listener, maybe consider one challenge you're facing right now, big or small.
Just pick one thing.
And ask yourself, how might applying just one of these ideas change things? Could you look at it with a more optimistic frame? Could you take just a moment for mindfulness when you feel overwhelmed by it? Could you lean into one of those 7 C's of resilience, maybe connection or coping?
What's one small step, something
Yeah.
you could do right now that might start moving your own life a little bit more above zero? Something to think about.